Hey folks, welcome to Old Ass Movie Reviews. I am Dave. That guy down there is Scott. And we are going to review Used Cars. Kurt Russell starring, 1980, rated R. We were just discussing that before we started the recording. I didn't realize it was rated R for whatever reason. I thought it was PG. PG, maybe what you'd call PG-13 now. But let me pull it up. It's just on IMDb, just that opening image of Kurt Russell and Squiggy from Laverne and
That was
Shirley.
what I just absolutely lit up when I saw Michael McKean, and then damn it, I can't think of his name, but the guy who played Squiggy. When I saw both of them, I was like, oh my God, it's Lenny and Squiggy.
David Lander. Yeah, David Lander. Let's go through this real quick and then we'll talk about the movie, because I always forget. This was a Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale movie. I didn't realize that until we were watching it, like this last time around. I was like, holy crap. No wonder it's so funny. Kurt Russell stars as Rudy Russo. Like you said, he's a very young Kurt Russell.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Warden was Roy Fuchs and his brother. Were they pronouncing it Fuchs? F-U-C-H-S or Fuchs? Fuchs, okay.
Fuchs. They were not pronouncing it Fuchs.
Garrett Graham was Jeff. That was the guy who couldn't drive the red car.
Oh, my God.
Ray was the mechanic. That guy was a popular actor for a while there back in the 80s. I don't know what happened to him. I would like to find out. Deborah Harmon was Barbara Fuchs. Joe Flaherty was Fuchs' lawyer. He played such a good slime bag. And the aforementioned David L. Lander was Freddie Paris. Michael McKean was Eddie Winslow. Those were the two tech guys that were.
Oh my God, Lenny and Squiggy.
All the trouble. This guy I didn't recognize until just now. Michael Talbot, the guy who played Mickey, the guy who got the old man in the car.
They basically killed him.
That guy was one of the main actors on Miami Vice. He was one of the cops. He was the guy who always wore the Hawaiian shirt. And I didn't recognize him until just now.
Wow.
Weird. And then Al Lewis as the judge. And that's
Grandpa Munster. Yes, that was like, oh my God, look.
Oh, geez, this is funny. I mean, there's a lot of other, like, you know what? I'll go through their names because they're fun. Harry Northrup, Alfonso Aru was Manuel. That's the kid who couldn't drive, or he was taking driver's notes when they were driving all the cars, and he had the little skinny girl with him, and he's telling her all this shit that they're doing illegal. She's like, sometimes you just got to step on it. Dub Taylor was Tucka. But yeah, I'm just going to leave everybody else alone. Bob Zemeckis and Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale. I'm still dumbfounded by that. Good movie. What it's basically about, folks, is there's a guy and his brother own car lots. They're both used car dealers. They're twin brothers, and one of them is dying of a heart attack, and he's got the absolute most primo property around, because they're doing some construction somewhere. And when the construction is done, this guy's going to be the only car lot with this huge area behind him.
Yep.
In the state of it's Arizona, right? Is that where they're at?
I'm
Arizona?
not sure where they're at.
Anyway, whatever state they're in. And his brother wants that property. He can't get the property because his brother's still alive. So he figures out a way to get his brother killed.
Yeah, what an asshole.
While nothing is pointing at him. They can't prove that he killed his brother. Well, meanwhile, Kurt Russell is just kind of a scumbaggy used car salesman.
Who wants to be a politician. He's just trying like hell to...
Oh, God.
Because he wants to make a difference. He really does.
He wants to make a difference after taking payoffs.
Yeah.
That was the deal for him. That was so funny.
But he's got a good arc.
Yeah, at the end, he has a good arc. But the guy dies. They bury him in his car.
Okay, okay, let me stop just a second because
Okay,
when
you're
they're
better
doing
at
no,
explaining than
no,
I
no.
am.
I mean, basically, that's right. They the twin brother with who wants the property devises a way to kill his brother, and
Yeah,
make it look like an accident. So as Dave says, they end up burying the guy in the car. Now, the reason I stopped you is I was like, oh my God, are they going to put the car back up there? And what a,
that's what I thought they were going to do
oh my
too.
God. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So they do that. And of course, the brother's now like, well, he knows the guy's dead, but he can't find out how to do it.
Yeah, he has
And
no
it's
idea where he's at.
yeah, it's just
And so in the meantime,
yeah.
Kurt Russell's character has got to keep the car lot open because he only needs like X amount of dollars so he can pay this other shady congressman or whatever
So he
money
can get on the ballot or
to get
whatever,
him
so
to
he
be
can
on
get
the
in there. Yeah.
ballot, which is if he gets on the ballot, he's elected. That's the deal. That was the
Yep.
deal that they made. So he's just trying to keep the car lot open long enough so he can leave this podunk town and dust this. And meanwhile, the guy who died's daughter shows
Oh,
up.
this, yeah. Talk
They
about
haven't talked
timing.
in years. They just had a talk the night before, and he died the night before. So Kurt Russell is trying to keep it secret that her dad is dead.
Yeah, this is horrible. It's
That
like,
was
oh my God. It's like, and he was gonna tell her, but then they devised a way to get her on a train just to get her out of town, send her to Miami. And it's like, oh my God, this is so mean, so freaking mean. And it's just every time he gets close to telling her, dude, he's about to tell her several
yeah.
times, and something happens. That causes him to
So
go deeper.
he's in bed with her at one point, and
Yes,
he's like, oh my God, he just can't take the guilt. He's going to tell her. And then the phone rings. He's got to go because they found
because
the
the
body.
body's
We
been
got to get rid
discovered.
of the
Yeah.
body.
So when this fails with
Folks.
with Fuchs, yeah, with the living brother, and Barbara
Jack
finds
Gordon, what a good
yeah,
actor.
Barbara finds out that Kurt Russell's character had lied and that her dad is dead. And well, Fuchs now still needs the property, and he hires somebody to manipulate the video and make it sound like she has a mile of cars.
Yeah, because she did the commercial. She did her
She
own
did
commercial.
she did her own commercial. Let's back up a minute since we're going to talk about commercials. This is the most ridiculous part of this movie. They decided they were going to do car commercials to get an audience and get people in, so they get strippers and everything and hijack the airwaves. They even break into President Carter's speech to show strippers on cars.
The State of the Union address.
The
Well,
State
the
of the
first one
Union.
was an accident. The first one
Yes.
was they meant to break in to the television
Yeah.
station, but they didn't mean for the lady's top to come off.
Right.
But
But
the
then they just
cameraman, as soon as those boobs popped out, she zooms right in on her boobs, and he's just following her around. Which I'm
now.
dying. I'm laughing my rear end off. Kat's actually started to laugh too. She goes, "This is just so stupid. This is ridiculous." Even Kat was laughing. So I'm like, "This is just so stupid." But it lasted so long. I was like, now it's not funny anymore. And then it got funny again because
Yeah.
it wasn't funny anymore. And I was like, "What is wrong with me? This
What
poor
was
kid's trying to get out of here."
what was funny was the tech that Lenny and Squiggy had set up.
Oh my
I don't
God.
know how closely you saw their satellite dishes, but one of them looked like a wok with a plastic bottle taped to it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
these guys are geniuses. And I know
Yeah.
this is by design because they were showing these guys could do anything because Lenny
Yeah.
had a damn pacemaker that Squiggy
Yeah,
had put in
that.
it.
He's like, "I made that pacemaker." Really? And he's
And
like,
there's
"How
like
did you do that?"
capacitors coming out. There's like Borg like shit on him.
Not only did he make the pacemaker, but he attached the pacemaker. So these guys, I mean, he's a fucking heart surgeon too.
These guys are crazy. These are crazy. So when I I saw the bottles. I was like, you know what? I buy it. Fine.
Yeah, I'm already buying it. I'm already
I'm already
buying it.
buying it.
So those two guys, is Lenny and Squiggy, they were good partners. They must have been really good friends
They
because they
had to have
did this
been.
kind of thing a couple of times. Uh, when they're breaking in to Carter's speech, it's raining. The one guy's in Washington, D.C., right?
Yeah.
And the other guy is still in Arizona or whatever
Which
state
makes
they're
no
in.
sense. It's like, my God.
Because he's got to triangulate the deflector off the thing at the White House that's going to triangulate
Yeah.
to this other thing. And I'm dying. Like nothing they said was making sense. And it's funny because the guy in the car looks at David Lander and is like, "Does that make any sense?" He's, "Of course it makes sense. Aren't you listening?"
No, it didn't make sense.
But
But
it's
yeah.
so damn funny.
So what happens when she makes a commercial, a regular commercial, and says she's got miles of cars? It presents a legal challenge now since the
Mhm.
video was edited and manipulated. So they've got to come up with a mile of cars. And this movie turns into this big 250 cars traveling across the Arizona desert to the down the highways, police
Oh my
chase. Um,
God, that was fun. That
to
was
get
a
there at the very last second. Of course, the guy, the superstitious guy, oh my God, when he found out he was driving a red car, almost derailed the whole thing. But let's back up to where Kurt Russell had put all his money on a football game and
oh my
his
God.
team was losing. So Mr. Superstition starts dumping salt shakers. So the other team has bad luck. The team he bet on, he wants to have bad
Yeah,
luck. So his buddy wins and gets all the money that he needs to help out
the hell?
Barbara get
Oh
her, make this happen. So
God, that was
it's so
funny.
funny. He's running around doing every superstition he can. He's crawling under ladders, opening umbrellas,
He's
and then
opening up
breaking
everybody's
mirrors.
umbrellas.
Yeah,
He
knocking salt
breaks the
over.
mirror.
Yeah,
What the hell are you doing?
it was crazy. It was crazy.
What,
It's funny.
what, what to me was great was Frank McRae, the guy who played the mechanic,
Mm-hmm.
is sitting next to Kurt Russell's character at the bar. The other
Oh
guy's like, "Hey,
yeah,
I'm gonna win, I'm gonna win." And he looks over
he
after
just
Kurt Russell says that without a miracle, or some really bad luck, I'm never gonna win this. And Frank McRae just kind of looks over at the other guy, looks at what's his name, Garrett Graham, Jeff, looks over at Jeff. He points at the bottle, points at the
yeah.
salt bottle, and is like, kind of gives him the, "You should knock that all over." He's like, what?" And he
And then
finally
it
realizes
clicks.
what
Yeah.
he's telling him to do. And he's just like, "Oh," and he knocks the first salt bottle over. And he looks around. They something happens, like they lose the ball or something.
Yeah, I
So
mean, instantly there was a
he
fumble.
realizes my teams could have a chance to lose. That's he just starts doing all that other shit, breaking mirrors, pouring out the salt, like you said, the umbrellas,
Crawling
and
under
everybody's
ladders.
just looking at this guy like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" And then he wins.
Exactly.
Kurt Russell wins the game. Here, or his was
Yeah. Yeah.
oh man,
He
it was funny.
he ended up having all his money and then meets up with the politician who's going to get him in, and he
Yeah,
realizes that his first thing is going to help destroy Barbara's car lot.
yeah, yeah.
And he's like, hell no, takes his money. And that's when he goes and buys all the cars, 250 cars from a guy early on. Oh my God, it's great. They're selling taxis and all kinds of shit with some crappy paint over. It's such a racket.
And he's got all the student drivers that have never driven a car off of their little lot in
Yeah.
school. They're like, "Does
Yeah.
this count for highway driving?" "Yes, it does. Get in your car." "We're going to do a nice steady 55. We're never going to make it if we only do 55. We're going to do a nice steady 75, 80 miles an hour, kids. Let's go."
And
First
what's
day on the road, man.
yeah. And of course they make it, and at the last second
Oh,
save the
Lord.
lot, and Kurt Russell and Barbara make amends. And it's a good movie. I had texted you that it is to me a by the numbers 80s comedy. This
Oh, yeah.
setup
Yeah.
this setup is done over and over and over, and that's
Yeah.
not a negative. It is just this was the formula for 80s comedies. It had to have the tropes that are in it, and
Mhm.
it followed this setup just just like this. It works. It's good. I enjoyed it. I didn't realize until I watched it that I had seen this movie multiple times. I remembered so much of it.
Really?
Yeah, I guess in the 80s at some point it was on
HBO?
HBO all the time or something.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably on HBO, and
makes
there was
sense.
probably a reason I was continually to watch it. But
Yeah, I can't imagine what those were.
there's two reasons.
Yeah.
Uh, but anyway,
Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-bum.
anyway, so
Um,
I enjoyed it. I think it's a good watch.
mhm.
It's a by the numbers 80s comedy. If you want a good laugh down
Oh,
memory lane, check it out.
it's fun. If you like Escape from New York, if you like, Escape from Los Angeles,
If you like Kurt
this
Russell,
is
is
the
what you're trying
guy.
to say?
You look at this guy and you look at Kurt Russell in this movie, you're like, how is that guy Snake Plissken? How is that guy Snake Plissken? That's how good of an actor Kurt
Kurt
Russell.
Russell's always a great actor.
And now he
He
plays
is
Santa
good.
Claus in at least two movies that I'm just amazed at. Like, wow, how did you? And you're a tough Santa Claus too. You're not like overly tough, but you're a good tough Santa Claus. That's cool. So
Very
yeah,
cool.
Kurt Russell, man, he's one of my favorite guys. He's
Oh,
one of my favorite
absolutely.
guys, really. And he's a pretty upright guy. He did a narration for his dad's minor league team called the
Oh, you were telling me about that.
Battered Bastards of Baseball.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen that, it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there, but it's called The Battered Bastards of Baseball. It's how this minor league team was so good that the major league teams were downing their major league players to go play in the minor leagues
Oh,
to beat
wow.
these guys at the World Series. And they barely beat them. They barely beat these guys.
Damn.
And it should have been illegal. Everything the fucking major league guys were doing was totally
Oh,
illegal. And they
yeah.
got away with it. And I'm like, you
And
son of
nothing's
a bitch.
changed.
They couldn't take that this guy had no F's to give about their stupid little trophy other than we're going to win it. We're going to win it
Yeah.
from you. And the guys, it was a bad news bears. These guys were not, they didn't fit in on anybody else's team. That's how these guys were. But I highly recommend that as a documentary. And
Very
it's
cool.
it's him doing the narration and talking about his dad.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, I had read about that, and you had told me about that too.
Yeah, highly recommend. And this movie, I gotta say, I recommend it. It's fun. It's a romp. There's some boobs in it. I love how the guy. Let's just say there's a sad moment with the dog that isn't actually sad. It's very funny because the dog is not hurt, is all I'm going to say.
The dog is a hell
But
of
the
an
dog is
actor.
playing the part of a dead dog.
Toby is great. Toby's probably one of the best actors in this movie, and that's no shit.
Yeah, yeah. But you will enjoy this movie if you like just the romp comedy of,
It's
just over the top, like that would never happen. None of this would ever happen in this movie, but
no,
it's
no,
very
but it
funny.
happened a lot in the '80s. Let me tell you,
Yeah, it
this.
happened a lot in the 80s,
I mean,
everywhere,
this
every
is
part
you.
of the
You
country.
watch this, and it just. I know it's 1980, but this is
Yeah,
just right at that time frame, and this is the way the 80s movies just kind of rolled out with
yeah.
this rawness. This it's so Gen X. It's so I don't
It,
give a fuck.
it's
Um,
everything that movies are missing now. I don't care. This is going to be a fun movie. I'm not trying to tell you anything other
it
than
just it
try
just
to be a
is.
decent human being. This movie is
Yeah,
that's all it really did is like, even the worst of us can be a good person
yeah,
in
yeah.
the right time if we need to be. And I mean, if you want to get deep, that's what it really is.
Yeah, I don't think they planned on it,
I don't
but it
think it's
does
that
it
deep
it
though.
works that way. It is not that
Yeah,
deep. It is just, hey, it's a by the
nothing.
numbers comedy that does have at least a it had to have the arc that it did
Yeah.
in order to make it a good movie. Had
Mhm.
he stayed an asshole, sleazy deal
Yeah, yeah.
maker, it wouldn't have paid off at the end, and it would have
No.
just you wouldn't have felt good. So in order for the setup to work, he had to be this horrible person. Not I won't say horrible, but not great person.
He wasn't great. But he wasn't
great.
terrible. I mean,
He wasn't horrible. He was
he was a
very
used car
flawed.
salesman.
And this is your flawed character. All good
Yeah,
characters have flaws, and he
yeah,
does, and he fixes that by the end. And that's not the intent, but that's what happens. I think. I know this is not,
exactly.
and so take from the movie what you will. I sure didn't get a moral message out of this movie, but I did get a laugh.
There's not much of a moral message, no. Like I said, I'm reading hard into it, but yeah, there was just a guy, a guy who thought he was one thing and is actually something not quite as bad. He's still
Right.
that thing, but just not quite as bad.
No, he's there. Yeah,
There's
yeah.
levels. There's
There
there's
is
way
it's nuanced. It's very
nuance. Yeah.
nuanced. Very
But
nuanced.
that's
So
that's my take on it. What would you want to
I already
share
gave
that?
my take. Yeah, it's a watch. So, folks, if you like our trips down memory lane into old movies that you may or may not have seen, give us a like, give us a share, and a subscribe, and we will catch you next week. Later.